Hey, welcome back to the slice between the withdrawals in Toronto, the chaos in Washington. There's been a ton going on this week on the ATP Tour. So we're going to break it down on this show, which is being recorded from Toronto at Hotel X. Great venue. Look at this set. And we're going to talk about the upsets in Washington, Daniil Medvedev losing his mind, everything else going on. And we're going to break down the Toronto draw and give a prediction because there is lots of opportunity in Canada for dreams to come true. So this is the slice presented by Betway. Let's get into it. All right. Well, thanks for being here, people. If you're new to the show, welcome. Thanks for subscribing. And if you're a longtime listener, follower, I appreciate you being here and I appreciate you helping me get to Toronto to cover this tournament for you. Shout out to Tennis Canada for giving the accreditation, and shout out to Hotel X for putting us up in this amazing suite. I am looking at the CN Tower right now while we're recording this, so it doesn't really get much more Toronto than this. If you are coming to Toronto for any reason, you should consider staying at Hotel X. That's where I'm recording. It's an amazing venue. They have unreal indoor tennis courts and a whole private members club that you have access to at the 10XTO Athletic Club as a hotel guest. Unreal hotel, unreal venue. So shout out to them. Toronto, the draw's out. We've broken it down. We've been covering it lots on the Instagram, and that's great. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, let's just check in. Let's just dive in and check in on Washington, because you may have noticed that there's some chaos going on in that draw, or there was at least. We're in the final now. But Taylor Fritz lost to Davidovich Fokina in the quarterfinals, 3 sets. Craziness. Ben Shelton beat Francis TFO. Not really craziness, but that's a big American matchup. Corentin Moutet beats Daniil Medvedev, and then Daniil Medvedev beats everything in his bag on the court, which, to be fair, is very relatable. The way that he lost that match point, it was absolutely insane. And it's got to be the most frustrating thing in the world playing Corentin Moutet, the way he's slicing it up, underhand serves. Medvedev's like, I'm supposed to be the joker. And then the way that last point went, like, yeah, you're just going to smash your racket. And then it looked like Daniil just went off, smashed everything else in his bag. Some people said, it's pretty dangerous to be throwing around metal water bottles and stuff like this. And I agree, but it's a show. Sometimes you're in the splash zone. This is show business. So I let him go off with a free pass because that would be extremely frustrating. Let me know your thoughts on it, though. But that was definitely a spectacle and one of the craziest match points I've ever seen. So Corentin Moutet gets through Medvedev, and then Demon Hour comes through Nakashima. Then he beats Moutet, not surprisingly, after that war versus Medvedev. Then Davidovich Fokina beats Ben Shelton. So the Americans are trying to take their spot in this North American hard court swing, take their destiny, but they can't do it because Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, again, has another week where he wakes up and he goes, I'm going to play great and make the final. So he's made the final now against Alex de Minaur. So this would be a great title for Alex de Minaur, who I feel like has been searching for titles this year, playing very well, not getting the results as far as title town. But yeah, that's a little roundup of the Washington chaos. Looked like a great tournament, and yeah. So any thoughts on that? I think that's a good warm-up for Toronto, which is a good warm-up for Cincinnati, which is a good warm-up for the U.S. Open. The story coming into Toronto is obviously, we've talked about this, Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, Draper, Tommy Paul, all these other people not here. I know Tommy Paul has a legitimate injury. You can learn about that on his fiance's YouTube page about his foot. I believe it, I don't want to misquote it, a tendon in his foot, a ruptured tendon in his foot. But Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic, mainly not here because of the scheduling. Let's just be honest. So for the draw in Canada, Zverev is the top seed. Fritz is the second seed. We went around the grounds yesterday asking fans who they thought were the favorites, and we got a lot of answers for. We got Fritz, Zverev, Ben Shelton many times. Someone said Andre Rublev, but it's pretty wide open. And then a lot of people also said the Canadians. So if we go ahead and throw up the draw here, let's put it on the screen and go through it quarter by quarter. But in general, the themes are the big dogs aren't here. There's an opportunity for someone else to win the Masters 1000. Zverev, Fritz. Fritz to me is like the form player coming in, although he did just lose in Washington. But there's, the winners last year, Alexi Popyrin in Montreal, Pablo Carreño Busta 2 years ago in Montreal, or 3 years ago in Montreal. I believe Demon Hour last year, or the year before in Toronto. So yeah, there's been non-traditional winners of this tournament lots, and it looks like this year we'll have probably another one. So let's go through the draw here. On the screen, we are looking at the top quarter. Zverev's quarter. These are the big draws, right? 96 player draws, 128 spots on it. There's a bunch of buys for the top seeds. Zverev quarter, he's got Holger Rune in there. And that's actually a great point that I forgot about. I believe Holger Rune is a dark horse here. No one's really talking about him, but I was talking to someone on his team yesterday, and they were saying how he's had a lot of injury struggles this year. He's essentially only played 4 tournaments, they've said. Didn't fact check that, but he won Barcelona, had another great result, and he's moved up the rankings with only a few tournaments. So they feel his game's in a great place. He was getting some consulting from Andre Agassi in Washington. So he's a guy that could do damage here, I think. And he's in the Zverev quarter, which means it's fairly wide open because Zverev could lose at any time. Let's just be honest. And Holger's in a section where he's got Mueller, Popyrin, Medvedev. Rune versus Medvedev, I believe they played Indian Wells before, and with Rune getting that one. Zverev, he could play Arnaldi, Griekspoor, Sarundalo. So Medvedev, Rune, that's, that top quarter there has some guys who can play really well, or they can lose at any time. But that's an interesting one to look at. Holger Rune, in my opinion, is looking good. Second quarter, Lorenzo Mussetti's quarter, the 3 seed. He's got Casper Ruud as the 8 seed there. He's also got Denis Shapovalov in his quarter. So Denis Shapovalov just came off the Los Cabos win. Should be feeling good. This is his home tournament. I've seen, I've talked to him. There's lots of pressure here at home, so we'll see how he handles that. But he'll play the winner of a qualifier versus or Lerner Tien. Honestly, Lerner Tien would be not a great matchup for him. That's a guy who can frustrate Shapovalov, I think. But Shapovalov can definitely overpower him if he just plays his game. And that's what Shapovalov told us that he would be doing. He said that he had a tough time during the clay and grass swing. Also broke up with Janko Tipsarevic after Wimbledon. But he said that he essentially got back into playing too safe, grinding through matches, and he knows he can lose to a lot of guys playing like that. So he's going to be going for more shots, which could, can be a disaster, but it can also, when he's playing his brand of tennis, like in Los Cabos or Dallas, it's almost hard to touch. So if he can execute that here, he'll be fine against someone like Lerner Tien, but that is a potential tough matchup because Lerner Tien's a backboard, gets everything back, and can be frustrating. Mahac there as well. Hachinov, Humbert, Bourges in that section, and Vasek Pospisil. Shout out to Captain Canada, Mr. Davis Cup. He's retiring, so he'll play a qualifier as well, which is a good draw for him. See if he can get a win. But this is his last tournament. Fairly emotional for him, for sure. He's given a lot to Canadian tennis, and he came on our show, which is great. Shows he's, great guy. So that's the second quarter, the Musetti quarter. So back on screen, the draw. The third quarter, which is the Ben Shelton quarter, he's got Francis Tiafoe in there, potential rematch from Washington, and Cam Norrie as well. Stefanos Tsitsipas, the 23rd seed, Demon Hour, the 9th seed, Kaboli, Auger Aliassime. A lot of good players there. I did walk by Flavio Caboli, and I'm like taller than him. So I'm like just like 6 feet. I'm between 6 feet and 6'1". And I was taller than Flavio Caboli. So that kid has a lot of power for his size. Like, he's not a huge guy. Anyways, that's an aside. But this quarter has a lot of talent and firepower. Wild card Alexei Galarno, friend of the show. He'll play Artur Rinderknech in the first round. And yeah, Felix Auger-Aliassime, he's got a very winnable match versus the winner of Fabian Marozsan versus Delian. Although I believe Marozsan is like kind of randomly um, giving him a hard time. Nope, they've never played. I was thinking of someone else, I guess. But that's so quarter there, so he could play that, and then he could play one of those guys, and then he could play Kaboli or Rinderknech, and then he could play Ben Shelton. So Ben Shelton, round of 16 match would be box office, obviously, for the tournament. And Felix needs to, I know, everyone in Canada knows Felix could go and win this tournament. He can beat everyone in this draw. That's like a fact. So now it's not about his game for him. I think it's more about his confidence. So we'll see. He's done a lot of media here. He's done a lot of stuff. He's given back to the local tournament in a great way this year. So we will see how much focus he has, but I hope he has the confidence of the crowd behind him. And I think, he can do really well here, but it's an opportunity tournament and we'll see how he does. That's the case for most of these players. It's an opportunity tournament. Ben Shelton plays Marcus Giron or a qualifier in his first round, but lots of talent in that third quarter. All right. In the Fritz quarter, Rublev is on the top of it, the 6th seed. Jakub Mensik, Masters 1000 winner in Miami. Gabriel Diallo, the 27th seed. This guy is, if you follow our social media, this guy is an actual tree. Posted a very funny photo of him getting his headshot done and the photographer standing on a chair. Like, this guy's hilarious. So Gabe Diallo's he's very dangerous. Him and Fritz had a great match at Wimbledon, 5 sets, I believe, went Fritz's way. Diallo, if he can get through the winner of Koric versus Gigante, he will play Fritz unless he loses in his first match. That's a great matchup, rematch from Wimbledon. Love to see that. So, yeah, who else we got there in there? Mute versus Brooksby, first round. That's a fire matchup. Hello. That's a crazy first round match. Spin versus both of those guys are just absolutely like brain breakers when you're playing them. But yeah, that's another solid section with Davidovich Fukina there in the final right now in Washington. So Liam Draxel, wild card, he'll play Carreño Busta. That's a very winnable match for Draxel. I believe he's a dog. He's a beast. He's a wall and he's very physical. He can roll with the top guys, I think. So lots of opportunity. That's the theme here in Toronto. Lots of opportunity. I believe if I had to pick a favorite, I would say Taylor Fritz, because he's probably had the highest level in the last month here out of anyone, but also Lorenzo Musetti. The hard court, as he said, is not his natural habitat, but he's been playing great previous to feeling injured or getting injured at the end of the clay swing. He had an amazing clay swing, so he could be good. Fritz could be good. Shapovalov came in with form, winning Los Cabos. He could be great. And Felix Auger-Aliassime, I honestly think when he has the crowd behind him, I think that helps him. They've never really put it together at home, having good runs here, or Dennis hasn't since 2017 in Montreal, but this could be the year. They're both kind of, fine. Felix hasn't had good results recently, but he's due for one. Dennis just won in Los Cabos. So as you can see, maybe I'm being a bit, optimistic for them, but I do feel this is the land of opportunity with no big dogs here, and it's a great tournament. So if you're in Toronto, check out the tournament. My last day on site is today, and I'll be heading home, covering it from home. But it's been great to see the people who I've already met. And if you're coming to Toronto, check out Hotel X as the best place to stay when you're in Toronto. This has been The Slice presented by Betway. If you didn't get my prediction, it's Taylor Fritz to win Toronto, but lots of other guys could do it as well. So that's been The Slice from Toronto, from the 6. We will see you next time on the show. Get around our social media, and we'll see you guys soon.